Gareth Southgate to Man United links make me want to vomit. There are better managers in the Championship. If Manchester United appoint Gareth Southgate, I'll be saddened. That's not me mocking him, I would genuinely feel really sad inside. Almost vomit-inducing. Because I do a lot of banter, I think a lot of people think I'm joking, but I've said consistently for years that Southgate is somebody I can't stand as England manager, and as a coach in general. I find him boring and pragmatic. England boss Southgate is reportedly at the top of United list of potential replacement for Erik Ten Hag. We saw it in the international break. England played 2 games and we were rubbish, and he's got some of the best players in the world. I'd love to sign his agent up. Gareth's agent, let's have a word, because the gigs he gets are incredible. It's amazing to me. I even turned down an invite to see his play. I was invited down to London when it first came out and I politely turned it down. I told them I'd be a hypocrite if I watched something about Gareth Southgate when I don't rate him as a coach. I don't want him anywhere near Manchester United. I think there are better managers in the Championship. Kieran McKenna and Mark Robins are way better than him. I don't think he's good enough to manage Crystal Palace or Fulham. I'd argue Rob Edwards at Luton is a better coach. If he gets the Man United job, for me that's going to go down in my whole life as one of those moments where you just think, am I living in the Matrix, because I just don't get it. I really don't get it. He's managed some of the best players England have ever produced and taken us to tournaments, but then just blew it. If he doesn't win the Euros this summer, I think I could win the Euros with that team. Goldbridge is really not a Southgate fan and even snubbed an invite to see the Dear England play. Southgate has been in charge of the England squad for almost 8 years but has nothing to show for it despite boasting some of the world's best players in his team. So why he'd get the Man United job, I find it baffling. I think it would be horrible to have him in charge. He's got nothing to do with Man United as well. I just can't stand the thought of it. I've said this loads before, but I think we need to give Erik Ten Hag time. If you give Pep Guardiola this team, they are not going to pass it around like Man City. If you give Jurgen Klopp this team, they are not going to press high, dominate possession, and create lots of chances. If I was speaking to Ineos, I'd tell them, you've definitely got an issue with the players. We've seen it with Spurs, they've just fallen off a cliff and Ange Postecoglou just can't get them to do what they could do at the start of the season. I think players revert to type and that's what's happened at United. The players mentally and physically, footballing IQ, they just don't have the skills to do it. These Man United players are more suited to Thomas Frank at Brentford with a counter-attacking style than they are to Man City's style of play. The player profiles are not right. If you sack Ten Hag and bring in Tuchel or De Zerbi, not Southgate, they have a certain style of football that won't suit these players either. It always comes back to the players, we've got to change them. Results will fall on a manager and they always do, but we've sacked many managers and we keep ending up in the same position. Goldbridge is an advocate of giving Ten Hag more time to get it right at Old Trafford. My fear is if you sack Ten Hag and you bring in another manager who is going to want to play in a certain way, and you don't clear these players out, we'll just be back to where we are now. Mikel Arteta is the example. Arsenal finished 8th and fans had Arteta out banners and t-shirts, but the last 2 years they've been fantastic, because he was given time to rebuild that team. This is why I give Ten Hag another year. I don't like the manager market, I don't like a lot of the players. Can you get a new manager and clear the players out at the same time? I don't think you can, it's one or the other and then maybe next season you change Ten Hag, or maybe he turns it around. In any case, it can't be Gareth Southgate. I'm sure he's a really nice guy and this is not personal, I just don't rate him as a manager and for me it's a massive no. 48-year-old manager very tempted by Man United job. Graham Potter would seriously consider succeeding Erik Ten Hag in the Manchester United hot seat if he is given the opportunity. Graham Potter would see the chance to take over as Manchester United's next manager as an opportunity which may be too difficult to turn down. Incoming sporting director Dan Ashworth would back the decision to hand the out-of-work manager the task of succeeding Erik Ten Hag. Respected journalist Ben Jacobs understands that Potter already has connections to Ineos ahead of his potential arrival at Old Trafford. Manchester United managerial target Graham Potter would be very tempted to move into the Old Trafford dugout if he is handed the opportunity to hold talks with new co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and journalist Ben Jacobs has told GiveMeSport that the out-of-work boss already has links to INEOS. Erik Ten Hag is in serious danger of being sacked at the end of the season as his side have failed to qualify for the Champions League, and it has led to recently appointed Red Devils technical director Jason Wilcox running the rule over whether a change needs to be made in the hot seat ahead of next term. Ratcliffe has taken control of football operations after completing his purchase of a 25% stake in the club 2.5 months ago, which has allowed Manchester United to enter a new era, and he is mulling over whether to make considerable changes in the coming weeks. Potter appointment would have backing of Ashworth. Manchester United's pursuit of Potter could gather pace when Dan Ashworth seals his Old Trafford arrival, according to iNews, as the incoming sporting director is a staunch advocate of the former Brighton and Hove Albion chief and is confident that he would excel as Ten Hag's successor. But the report suggests that some key personnel are not convinced that the out-of-work manager has the credentials to move into the Red Devils' hot seat, having been seeking a fresh challenge since being sacked by Chelsea 13 months ago, and current Bayern Munich chief Thomas Tuchel has been pinpointed as the leading candidate after it has become clear that he wants the job, as per David Ornstein on the Back Pages podcast. Writing in his exclusive GiveMeSport column, respected journalist Dean Jones recently revealed that Potter will be seriously considered to take charge of Manchester United if Ten Hag is axed, while it has also been claimed that he held a secret meeting with Ashworth ahead of his impending switch from Newcastle United. The Red Devils may be forced to move quickly if they decide to up the ante in their attempts to land the 48-year-old tactician, as Ajax are preparing to offer a contract after pinpointing him as the ideal option to rebuild their squad without the need for big money signings, while he is also on AC Milan, Porto, and Feyenoord's radar. Ben Jacobs: Potter has connection with Ratcliffe amid Nice pursuit. Jacobs understands that Potter would see taking over as Manchester United's next manager as a tantalizing prospect, and he would be open to holding discussions with the new look hierarchy if it becomes clear that Ten Hag's reign will come to an end in the coming weeks. The reputable journalist is aware that Ratcliffe previously contemplated handing the ex-Swansea City chief, who has been described as outstanding by Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola, the managerial reins at Nice, meaning that there is a connection ahead of his potential arrival at Old Trafford. Jacobs told GiveMeSport, "I think it's fair to say that Graham Potter would be very tempted by the Manchester United role if he was offered an interview, should a vacancy arise. Potter was under strong consideration at one point for Nice, so, historically, there is a connection there. The connection between Gareth Southgate and Manchester United would be presuming everything gets done with Dan Ashworth because of their time working together at the FA. But the connection between Potter and Manchester United is INEOS and the fact that he was considered for Nice. Mourinho eager to replace Ten Hag at Old Trafford. Jose Mourinho is keen to embark on a second stint at the Manchester United helm if Ten Hag is ousted, according to the Manchester Evening News, but the Portuguese tactician is set to be left frustrated as key figures behind the scenes are not considering making his dream a reality. The report suggests that the former Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur chief has told those close to him that he is eager to be handed another opportunity at Old Trafford, having won 84 of his 144 matches at the helm, but he is not expecting an approach despite being friends with Ratcliffe. Man United could talk to 3 ex-Champions League winner if Ten Hag is sacked. Manchester United may look to open discussions with Zinedine Zidane as they continue searching for a potential Erik Ten Hag successor. Manchester United co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe is mulling over whether to sound out Zinedine Zidane as he formulates a plan ahead of Erik Ten Hag's potential sacking. The French tactician would prefer to head into the Old Trafford dugout instead of taking charge of Bundesliga giants Bayern Munich. Respected journalist Ben Jacobs has refused to rule out the possibility of Manchester United opening discussions with Zidane. Manchester United could choose to have a conversation with Zinedine Zidane in a bid to discover whether he would be open to succeeding Erik Ten Hag in the Old Trafford hot seat, and journalist Ben Jacobs has told GiveMeSport that Jose Mourinho would also be very open to sealing a return to the Premier League. The Red Devils entered a new era when INEOS chief executive Sir Jim Ratcliffe completed his purchase of a 25% stake in the Premier League giants, following lengthy discussions with the Glazer family, and the billionaire has wasted no time in attempting to stamp his authority since entering the boardroom. Newly appointed technical director Jason Wilcox is assessing whether Ten Hag deserves to remain in the dugout heading into next season, having missed out on bagging Champions League qualification and suffered a heavy defeat against Crystal Palace earlier this week, and it has resulted in members of the New Look hierarchy beginning the search for a potential replacement. Zidane open to possibility of succeeding Ten Hag. Zidane is interested in potentially replacing Ten Hag at the Manchester United helm, according to French media outlet L'Équipe, and he will continue keeping tabs on whether Ratcliffe chooses to part company with the Dutch tactician before considering offering his services ahead of the 2024-25 campaign. The report suggests that the 51-year-old, who has won the Champions League 3 times over the course of his managerial career, would prefer to take over the Red Devils, despite also being on Bundesliga heavyweights Bayern Munich's radar as they prepare for Thomas Tuchel to walk away from the Allianz Arena in the coming weeks. But Zidane has handed Manchester United a boost in their hopes of convincing him to head to Old Trafford, as he has confirmed that he will not be moving to Germany for his next challenge, and statistics highlight that he has a formidable record since hanging up his boots. Respected journalist Dean Jones recently told GiveMeSport that the Red Devils' failure to qualify for next season's Champions League could hamper them in their attempts to land a Frenchman, as he will be more keen to fight for the biggest trophies instead of inheriting a group of players needing a confidence boost.